And one of the most amazing statistics in MMA history is that Conor McGregor's weight class that in theory would have been the best one for him to fight in long term, 155 pounds. Conor has one lightweight win, and it's over Eddie Alvarez for the title. And yes, that made him the double champion, and you can argue that as the most significant singular win in UFC lightweight history because of it, but absolutely remarkable that Conor McGregor only has one lightweight win in his entire career. And that's why, of course, he's not anywhere near this conversation as great as I think he could have been competing consistently at 155 pounds. I mentioned all the sharps on Beneil Dariush, right? Beneil Dariush was the favorite all week. It seemed as though maybe like right at close, there was a big Charles Oliveira bet because my brother seemed to see Charles Oliveira minus 125 when at times on fight day, Charles was plus 130. But, you know, Chael Sonnen suggested Charles Oliveira wouldn't win a round. There were a lot of people that went all in on Beneil Dariush. You had a perfect UFC 289. The only fight you didn't hit was this one. So what were your thoughts on Beneil Dariush's performance and everything that this fight week held for Benny Dariush?
Thank you for asking. I wanted to get into that. I thought Beneil got into some great positions, right? I mean, he was able to get on top. And to me, man, I want to be respectful of Beneil, but he wasn't adjusting. I saw not the best MMA IQ out there in that he kept trying to throw the biggest shots from very far away. And Charles Oliveira is just too damn slick, man. You're on top and you're trying to wing these huge shots, and Oliveira was avoiding all of them as opposed to kind of calming down, mix up your strikes. You know, similar to just trying to go for overhand rights on the feet. How about a jab here and there? How about, you know, some small shots, some body shots, something to mix things up that Oliveira had to adjust with? And I felt like he almost got a little bit too emotional and just started scrapping as opposed to trying to pick him apart and just land shots on his jaw. And Benny's an excellent grappler. He really is. And he's got power. But I think he got himself a little bit too emotional when he got that top position. You know, similar to Irene Aldana, different people are going to react in these big moments in different ways. Yeah. And I think after this one, Benny's going to look back at that and go, man, I should have settled down. I should have looked for smarter shots out there. Instead of trying to take his head off, he should have been a little bit more methodical and way more calculated when he had that top position inside Oliveira's guard.
So Beneil Dariush had a lot of interesting things to say in our fighter meeting. He said, Charles Oliveira is still a mystery to me. And then he also had a quote that he said, the hardest thing for me is discipline mid-fight, that he loves an ugly fight. But yeah, I agree, Kenny. Like, seemingly his strong fight IQ and his instincts were not there on the night that he most needed them to be there. And it was interesting just seeing the way he approached this fight week. And, you know, I think we all do it differently. He's got his kids like in the room with him. And I don't know that unleashes your most primal state. I do think maybe there was part of this fight week that Beneil Dariush would go back and redo. Ray, what do you have for us on the Dariush side, if anything?
Yeah, look, I'm agreeing with both of you guys. And it's different, but it's similar. It looked like both Aldana and Beneil, they kind of, but not really Beneil, but Kenny brings up something like he's been in some of those chaotic situations. He doesn't come out on top. I mean, I kind of put that also on Oliveira, but Oliveira, man, he went right through it. I don't know. I think, I don't know. At least you saw a way of it. Like, again, I could see him doing really good on the floor. Standing up wise, I thought he'd do way better. I thought he could control the pace a little better, pick his shots, get to the floor a little easier. But once the chaos started, he jumped right in there, and the same thing happened to him that happened to him in the past a couple of times, which stinks. But because I know he waited so long for this moment. And,
right.
You know, and as much as I agree with you, John, with the kids and stuff, if you know the guy, I mean, he's just a laid back, chilled out guy. I mean, so that's good and bad. It might be bad for the reasons you're alluding to, but it's also good in the loss that he recognizes the only thing that matters to him is he has his family. And I think that's what's going to give him solace moving forward. So I think it's a kind of like a double-edged sword, but I think he's one of those guys that really keeps that in perspective. So as if he had to go out, he's going to go out bringing that kid every time. You know
No,
what I mean?
I think that's just,
and I think that's but I think your point is really well taken. You like that, and me too. Focus, let's go. But everybody's different. But
no, you're right. Like if you said to Kenny Florian, Ken-Flo, title eliminator against Gray Maynard will give you an extra $250,000, but your kids have to sleep in your hotel room the night before the fight. He would say, keep your fucking money. There's just no way. Everybody's different. But I thought we hit on a lot of truths when it comes to Beneil Dariush. I think I over prep for Charles Oliveira, right? His fights don't last that long. There's so much we leave on the table, right? The whole shoot to box angle, right? Macaco, former student of Rafael Cordero under that banner back in the day. We touched on it a little bit, but you're not getting into any of that stuff when it comes to Charles because his fights are so quick. One thing I wanted to share with the audience, and I'm a little scrambled today, so I hope I didn't already reference this, but Ray, I asked Charles about power and if he trained for power, if he always knew he had natural power. Michael Chandler, I've asked about this. He says he definitely trains for power and thinks you can. Some people think it's all rooted in technique. I think a smoke alarm might have just gone off here. But Charles Oliveira deflected when I asked him about power. He was just giving all credit to Shoot to Box and the system and the coaches, and he feels like he unleashes power really based more upon technique and speed that he's been taught. So what are your thoughts on natural power versus trained power and all that?
I think there's nothing better than a guy. Some guys just have dynamite in their hands, man. They just have bricks in their gloves. It's, but some of those guys can't get it to the target either. So they expose themselves too much. So, I mean, you obviously the stronger you are, you should be more powerful. I mean, you could get like really technical with it, but it's more based on technique. You know what I mean? Where if you can get the punch there quicker than the guy could see it, like you got natural power, and again, to have no power at all, like where you can't break an egg, you would see a big difference. But everybody's got enough power. Most of the guys we're talking about anyway to get somebody out of there for sure. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, no, it does.
I think he's right. I think he's right in saying technique and everything else, but you get into those gym wars, which Shootbox was famous for. Your power's coming in. Let me tell you something I'm sure I mentioned on the show before. Oliveira fought at one of my shows, the Ring of Combat, before the UFC. So we're looking at like 2008, 2009. He beat a local kid who was a tough kid. I mean, he decapitated him. Power. Wow. I was in shock when he got in the UFC. I wasn't seeing what I saw in the Ring of Combat. He was a vicious kicker, and you could even see with the head kick, Darius blocked that kick. You know what I mean? But
it went right through. Yeah,
right. I think it was the speed of which you got up there. You get caught off guard. There's a lot of things that go into power. I don't want to sit here and go through that all day, but he was powerful back in the day. Again, I'm telling you right now, he has natural power, especially for a lankier guy like that. He's definitely has power, and he's proven it. And I mean, look at his record. Look at the guys he's beat.
Yeah. That's a cool reference. Kenny, did you want to jump in with something there? I believe you did.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, Ray actually touched on it after, the speed also, right? It's like if your brain isn't ready to take that impact and didn't expect it to come from a certain angle, it rocks you. And Oliveira definitely had that speed advantage against Dariush. And I also think we've seen him get so much better, right? I mean, Oliveira has made such great improvements, not only, with his technique, but with his confidence, his overall game, and how he puts it all together. He's got so many weapons that you have to worry about that your brain's kind of scrambled trying to figure out what the hell is he going to throw next, and that is such an important skill set.
Yeah, without a doubt. My point about him fighting at the Ring of Combat too was that at that night he was head and shoulders above most of the guys fighting on that card. Like this kid was going to be a champion or he was going to be good. It was vicious. I'm telling you, it was vicious. And I'm glad he got to the point where he got. I mean, look, the only criticism, if I had a criticism, I don't see anything out of that performance that makes me think the Islam fight would go different. I don't know if that's just me. Right. I just think that matchup, he could beat now I'm convinced everybody he's going to beat, he just might be stuck in that category where he can't beat the champ, because I think that matchup is just a bad matchup for him.
Yeah, see, I think he can beat Islam. I think that betting line for that potential rematch in October is completely out of whack. I'm seeing Charles at like plus 360. I guess we'll see, but I just feel like everything that he has done since that loss in terms of the camp and the statement at 154 pounds and even the conviction and confidence that comes with this result, I guess we'll see, but
I think he deserves it, John. There's no question. I agree with Ray, though, because Islam doesn't throw himself out of position. Islam doesn't take major risks. There's no holes in his game where you're like, 100%. Charles could expose this or that. He just the dude doesn't make mistakes. That's the problem with Islam Makhachev. So that's what makes it tough in a rematch. So I agree with Ray there. But as far as someone who's gonna move forward and try to finish the fight, like that's how you beat Islam Makhachev. You don't go out there and try to decision him or outpoint him. You need someone with a skill set like a Charles Oliveira who's at least going to try to go for the finish. That's his best bet of kind of creating that chaos. And I don't think there's anyone else that can do it like Oliveira in that regard. So that's kind of why I want to see it. But but I do agree with Ray at the same time.